Namaste, good evening everyone. My name is Parbani Dawar and I am the moderator for today's session. I am an early years educator and I am the territory head of the Indore chapter of the Early Childhood Association. It is a great pleasure to have such renowned panelists with us today. The topic we are discussing today is about let us prepare for the post COVID together. So again, as the name says, there's a lot of stakeholders which will be involved in the preparation for opening up our schools and the getting pre-primary years together. So for today's webinar, without wasting much time, I will quickly introduce you to the panelists we have. We have a very diverse lineup of panelists today who are having years of experience and hold a lot of expertise in their own domains. So one by one, I will introduce the panelists to you, and then we will start off with a question and answer session, following which we will have some questions from our attendees as well. We will take some questions. Depending on how much time we have, we will take about 2 to 3 questions. So, well, I'm sure we're going to have a very enriching session, and I hope all the attendees have their notepads and pencils ready with them. So, I take great pleasure in introducing to you our first panelist for the day. That's Mrs. Komal Joshi. She is the founder of Indore's largest and fastest growing Facebook community, INMO, that's Indore Mothers. And the Facebook community has over 33,500 mothers as of today. And other than that, she is a founder of the Travelicious travel agency. She has an experience of working with some renowned travel agencies such as SOTC, Cox and Kings, and she's a very, I would say, digital influencer. So in these times, we need many people like her who can positively set influences. So thank you so much. She's a dear friend, not to forget that. Thank you for joining us today. It's nice of you to be here. Next, I move to Mrs. Rakhi Jamar. Rakhi ma'am is carrying 18 years of experience in the early childhood education. She is the founder director of the Oscar Schools and the Kids Chem School, which has about over 5 branches, and she's the one who's been operating those very successfully. She's a very dedicated and passionate educator who uses creativity and innovation as her tools. And she's a very pretty person. It's very nice to have you, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming. Next we have is Rohita Satish. Although she's completed her doctoral program from the Albert Ellis Institute in New York, she doesn't like to be called a doctor yet. She's still waiting for her credentials to arrive. So other than that, she's been working in the field of applied psychology for more than 16 years now. She is a founder of Talk Remedies, which is a counseling space outside of Indore, and she's a consulting psychologist at the CHL Hospital. Thank you very much for being with us. Next, I am very happy to introduce Rohini Lalke, who has joined us all the way from Bombay. And she's the beat officer at the Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai. She has been serving the department for over 25 years now, so you don't go by her looks. She is very experienced, and she has been, her job profile includes inspections of schools of all range, right from the IB schools to the municipality schools. She's been doing their inspections. She's been working with the government and the organizations to coordinate and ensure that all the norms are, there's 100% compliance. She also does training for a lot of leadership and teachers. So thank you once again for joining us, Rohini ji. So I think we'll immediately embark upon this journey of a lot of learnings and fun for us. I will direct my first question to you, Komal, if I may. Uh, what I have in mind for you is that since you are representing such a huge community of mothers and you are so active, you all are doing such great work in the community, you all are bringing so many social changes and alertness to people. I'm sure there are a lot of discussions, concerns, apprehensions going on between the mothers about early childhood and when the schools will open, what will happen. So, would you please throw some light on that for all of us? You need to unmute, Komal. I can't hear you.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. So, first of all, thank you so much, Parvini and Team ECA, for this wonderful, wonderful initiative. You guys are doing great job. And yes, if I talk about concerns and issues, yes, there are so many concerns and issues are being talked in our community. First concern I would talk about is there are health and safety concerns for the kids, that how they will follow social distancing. That's the first concern, because what we feel physical assessment is different from digital assessment. That is, as a parent we can feel this. So that is the first thing. Then what is the solution for this? Second question comes, kids cannot stay at home for long, because they cannot stay at home without schooling. That is for sure for the kids. I'm talking about the small kids here. So then what and how we can look for the solution for this? Then if there are, yes, I know there are so many online classes are going on through various platforms, but still most of the parents don't have separate laptops. They don't have separate laptops, desktops, or mobiles for their kids. So their kids, even internet connection can be issue in some cases, what we are seeing here. So what about them? Because if you see, I have been seeing availability of resources is a big issue here, बिकॉज हर फैमिली में सबके पास एडिशनल मोबाइल्स या लैपटॉप्स नहीं है. सपोज फॉर एग्जाम्पल देर आर 3 kids इन अ फैमिली, एंड अगर एक फैमिली में देर 2 or 3 kids एंड क्लासेस चल रही है, सो हाउ विल दे मैनेज, बिकॉज हर बच्चे को एक लैपटॉप और एक मोबाइल आपको देना पड़ेगा. एंड व्हेन पेरेंट्स विल स्टार्ट गोइंग ऑफिस, देन what is the solution for that? So again, इसमें भी cost involved है, because if we need to buy them another laptop and another desktop and another mobile, then there is a cost involved in it. So, and the very, very important question is here, then when kids will be online for so much of time, then how we can keep a check on content they are watching? That is the question which, like, every mother is coming up with in our community. So now how we can keep a check on that? Now it is what I feel. 1 minute. Now there are so many concerns. Then apart from that, there are so many online classes are also going on, but the problem is that what we are seeing is teachers are not taught to train online. They have been had trainings for in class teachings only. So can we assist them too in this manner? This could be a solution. So now what I feel, it is up to you, it is up to these schools, that how they can come up with some good offline and online solutions which can be worked upon by the parents in the same cost which they are paying for the school. I hope I could whatever the queries we are like, these are the real queries which are being posted in our community, and still huge discussions are going on in this. So I hope I could give you all the problems which my mothers are facing, and thank you so much. Over to you, Parvini. Hello. Hello. Yes.
Okay, well, thank you, Komal. Indeed, those questions are, I'm sure, which the parents would be concerned, and these are very obvious and valid questions which they will have on their mind. And thank you for sharing them with us. So, we have a range of panelists here are such experts, and they will be definitely able to throw some light on their on these issues. So I will hope you are able to get some solutions out of this. I will I will now direct my question to Rakhi ma'am. Rakhi ma'am, since Komal just brought out these questions about teachers training, she said that the teachers are not trained for the online learning. How do you go about that? And she also said that teachers, like parents, do not have so many resources also. So how, as a school, since you have been operating your online sessions already in your school, so would you please help us with the parameters and the criteria which the educators should have in mind when they are planning these blended learning sessions? Ma'am, over to you.
Yeah, yeah. Hello, everyone. Thanks to ECA Indore chapter and Pavani ma'am for giving me this opportunity and developing awareness among early educators. I feel this is need of the hour. Ma'am, the kind of topic that we are talking about today, this is a very optimistic topic. And at the same time, I also feel curious to see how things are going to unravel in post-COVID scenario. The role of free schools in pre-COVID scenario was that they were essential partner in young child's learning and development. And as of today, that partnership is disrupted. Pretty soon in the post-COVID scenario, I see that partnership becoming stronger and more authentic. This partnership will flourish in the post-COVID scenario. Research has been shown sound evidences that during these COVID lockdowns, the most vulnerable populations are the very young ones. It is essentially the children in the early years who have suffered the most. For the entire community, social distancing was a mean to protect their health and be safe. Parents and teachers need to understand the urgency to protect the mental health of themselves and, more importantly, of the very young. Children these days are exposed to negativity, sadness, and scary news. Ma'am, I am repeating, exposed to negativity, sadness, and scary news. They don't understand it. It leads to confusion about how the world as they know it has changed. This is more troubling with early years who do not have the life experience or vocabulary to tell the adults in their life what hurts. And why I am saying this, it is essential for parents and educators, community to address this, and we together need to collaborate and find possible solutions. These solutions need to implement in our preschools, which will eventually help our young ones, young kids in social and emotional development. Ma'am, I am repeating young kids in social and emotional development. Certainly, I feel that preschools will be opening and they will ensure they are safer, hygienic, and equipped to take care of social and emotional development. The challenge is how. The challenge is how. So, according to ECA guidelines, I certainly feel that it is very detailed and clear guidelines which based on ECA guidelines like staggering the opening of preschools and daycares, like staggered drop off and pickup times. Seating arrangements in the classroom, like children must spend the day in the same small groups of 3 or 6 depending on their age. Replanning of school transports, temperature checks and record keeping, sanitizing and disinfecting the center like toy sanitization. Creating these policies in preschools will not only help in creating safe school, this policy document will also help in training, teaching and non-teaching staff. And in educating the parents, training the teachers and non-teaching staff is essential. Ma'am, I am repeating, training the teachers and non-teaching staff is essential before school reopen for kids. 2 weeks prior to that, schools should start having mock-up training and drills for ensuring a trained team. Implementing the ECA guidelines will make sure that preschool is making their facility safer, hygienic, and COVID responsive. But at this point, I want to focus on how the school community can ensure that post lockdown we are that go to place which essentially would help the kids to overcome from the mental stress, more focused on social and emotional development along with physical distancing. I certainly feel that social distancing is not the right word in use. And nowadays, so many people are using social distancing. For optimal child development, socialization and companionship is essential. I will see preschool spaces where the teaching pedagogy reflects that change, and all we need to do is to be creative and critical. We should give experience of what to expect and how to react, not the way how adults get informed, but the way young kids learn and experience. I would also like to give examples of some of the teaching pedagogy schools should implement. Incorporating of sit-down social games with physical distancing and no toys or tools like memory games, guess who, circle times, and many more games the schools and children are following. Developing experience through storytelling, making kids learn about physical distancing, sanitization, and hygiene through stories. Teacher led activities without any toys or tools like music, singing, dancing, Zumba, yoga, and group game following the distancing, physical distancing, not social distancing. Developing experience through storytelling and physical distancing through role play. Kids can given the headgears, these type of headgears, and this is the headgear, and this headgear can be represent helicopter, trees, bulls. This is carefully designed to ensure 2 feet of distance on either side. 2 feet distance on either side. Kids can be taught not to crash their helicopters, not to cut trees, branches, and leaves. Don't pluck leaves. They will be overwhelmed with joy and make sure that this is physical distancing. Also, in preschools, care aspects like toileting, changing clothes, wearing shoes, etc. And are some of the operations where physical distancing of the child and non-teaching staff cannot be avoided. In these circumstances, I would prefer non-teaching staff to even wear PPE kit, but with a twist. Like PPE kit can be decorated like a Dalmatian dog, joker, zebra, so that kids feel overwhelmed, not afraid. So post-COVID will be a fresh start for everyone. We are going back to the fundamentals of the preschooling, wherein focused offer efforts on child safety, teacher training, policy development, parent education, and life skills development of kids are on top priority. This will strengthen the core pillars of our preschool industry and further help in strengthening the preschool and parent partnership. Thank you.
fantastic. Raki ma'am, those were some amazing inputs from you, really. To
Thank you,
kind of
ma'am.
just tell you what my takeaways were from ma'am's session, she has gone through the ECA guidelines, which I'm not aware whether all the attendees of our city or people
Yeah.
have got hold of it, or even, that's very nice. She has gone through the entire manual, and she's. My takeaways from that would be that we need to have a lot of domains, areas in which we need to work, such as child safety, teachers training, policy making, and a lot of parent collaboration is what ma'am has suggested. Some very fantastic points. I love the idea of the PPE kit converted to cartoons, ma'am. That is fantastic. I'm sure most of the preschools will find it a lot of appealing to do so. I also particularly liked your idea of integrating all the learning areas in the curriculum, like role plays, creativity, movement, language development, so stories, a lot of 1 minute games. Games without toys is a very good solution to avoid any kind of sharing and things like that. So thank you very much, ma'am. Wonderful, wonderful inputs given by you. Next, I will move to Rohita, who will help us to understand that since you are a practicing counseling psychologist, you understand that what should be the learning outcomes which the preschool and the educators should keep in mind, because post COVID the scenario is going to be much different. Children are coming from a closed environment, they may be frustrated. So if you can please help us, how do we develop and how do we manage their behavioral issues and their emotional health?
Thank you
Over
so
to you.
much. Thank you so much. Firstly, at the very outset, thank you, Parvani, for a lovely introduction, but I'll take the liberty of a small correction. I did my PhD, all right. I completed, submitted my thesis, but not from Albert Ellis Institute. I'm a certified practitioner of one of the therapies from there. So I just wanted to mention that. Now, talking about post-lockdown scenario, there will be a lot of uncertainty. There will be a lot of fear, concerning different areas of life. Every household, every individual, every working and non working person is unsure of what to expect and how life is going to be post COVID. However, what we anticipate is that, considering that we do not have a clear line of treatment or a vaccine or medical protocol, it is best to try and adhere to the current norms, which is, staying at home. Now, yes, you're right. There are a lot of emotional and behavioral problems that are cropping up. And especially since we are talking in the context of preschoolers, uh, this is a very, very young and vulnerable age group. You know, uh, I know a lot of schools have been putting in efforts to try and connect with their students through online classes. Some of them have been very successful, and some of them have not been very successful. However, I'd like to highlight that preschoolers is a very, very crucial stage, and preschool education is very important because your developmental milestones are established here. And when I say so, I am referring to cognitive, that is your ability to think, to learn, to be able to solve simple puzzles or problems, to be able to communicate, to be able to develop your physical wellness, and most importantly, your social emotional development. Now, the purpose of sending children to preschools or schools is to ensure that they develop social emotional skills, because it is very, very critical to any form of learning. Okay, when I mean socio emotional learning skills, I am talking about ability to make relationships, ability to express their emotions, ability uh, to maintain their physical health, and most importantly, to learn. Okay, now, online classes or distance learning is probably one of the safest mode that we can stick to or opt to right now, because it is the need of the hour. Okay, we do not while schools are putting in effort to try and modify policies or train the staff, one has to acknowledge that parents are scared, and especially young ones going to school is, I think, the least of their priorities at this point of time. There are three stakeholders in the entire process of learning: your child, teacher, and the parent. It is going to be collaborative. No one is an expert. It's a platform that all of us are trying to learn and explore. But overall, what I'm trying to say is we all have to focus on emotional health, because I am sure all of us agree, if you don't feel happy, you will not be motivated to learn or perform. Therefore, I think from a learning standpoint or from a school standpoint, it's very, very important that all three stakeholders are happy, motivated, and therefore able to contribute and participate to learn. So, how are you going to do this? You know, first thing is to be happy, you need to eat well, sleep well, and exercise. Okay, there will be, I like the word physical distancing. It doesn't refer to social isolation. It means that physically you need to maintain your distance. So while you're away, you can still continue to stick to your routine, which is closest to what you had before the lockdown. Try and have routines which are dynamic. Try and have me time and family time. Me time could mean, as could include doing nothing. It's absolutely fine. It's not important that you have to be productive all the time. Family time is important. You communicate, you interact, and it's very, very important that you try and give a platform to your child to express negative experiences or negative emotions. So I remember one of the earlier webinars that you all had. I completely relate to happy hours. Teacher, parents should try and encourage and ask the child on the emotional front, how do you feel? And that is very, very important. Motivation, extremely important again for learning. It could be behavioral or academic skills. Learning environment has to be appropriate. Limited distraction should be there. Participate as a peer, considering that we are going to, let's presume children are not going to school anymore and they are going to continue learning from home. Please try and participate with them as a peer, as a friend. Do activities that they are doing as a participant of that session. Give a lot of acknowledgement, praise them, encourage a lot of physical hug and expression of love. If you want to hug your teacher, you could tell them, I miss you so much and I'm hugging a pillow, and encourage them to do the same thing. Bond with your student because they really, really admire teachers and see them as their role models. So what you can do is share your personal space, show them your kitchen. That will excite them, that will make them feel connected with you. And most importantly, do not force the child. If the child is not in the mood, the child is not motivated to participate in an activity, it's all right. Leave them alone and address it later. In order to be motivated, it is very, very important that you bring surprises for yourself and for the child. And last but not the least, in order to, you're happy, you are motivated, what do you need to perform? Please ensure, design your lessons, design your goals which are achievable. Don't be too ambitious. All of us are facing limitations. We have limited resources, limited availability of content. So I think realistic goals have to be set. Smaller groups, interactive sessions. One suggestion that I would definitely want to give here is try flipped classrooms, because parents are concerned about screen time. Okay, you could give them a task before the classroom session. Okay, and you could have the task done before the class and discuss it during the classroom or an interaction session. So that way, while you are interacting with them online, it is not pure screen time. Please, I would take a minute extra, Parvani, यहाँ पे, and I would want to clarify to all the mothers, screen time is not going to be, there is a difference between online learning and screen time. Okay? बहुत सारे पेरेंट्स ने पूछा है, कहीं हमारे बच्चे स्क्रीन टाइम एडिक्ट तो नहीं बन जाएंगे. Please understand, audio visual learning has been part of the learning system for a very, very, very long time. Okay, when you when you're talking to somebody, even if you're watching Tom and Jerry or if you're watching Mahabharat and you're interacting with your child, trying to, elicit response, trying to help them understand, trying to understand what they are learning from there is audiovisual learning. But if you leave the child by themselves in front of the screen, completely unattended, that is called screen time. Classes will be short. Therefore, I don't see that as a concern at this point of time. What you need to take care is beyond the interactive session, you need to monitor gadget holding. Don't give your gadgets for too long, or monitor what you're doing with the gadget or when the child is handling the gadget. On that note, my only closing remark is emotional health is extremely important. There are good days and bad days. Good days you'll perform great, bad days you may not. So make sure your days are good, at least better, if not very good, and make sure that you pay a lot of emphasis on emotional health. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Rohita. I'm sorry about the mix-up of your introduction.
No problem.
Well,
No problem.
thanks, Anand. You have brought in some very valid points, and I'm sure the schools are going to be extremely grateful when you have given the clarity between online learning and the screen time aspect of it. Because trust me, many of us are struggling, and we're trying to justify as how the preschools are trying to make engagements meaningful for children, so it doesn't become a very off thing, and children don't just get addicted to the screen. Some of my key takeaways from your about how you said that the bond can, even in this social, the distancing and learning while the platform, the teachers need to ensure that that bond is always connected. Your idea of sharing your personal space, showing them your room and your things is one of the very good examples. I think it will definitely work. And again, I agree when you say that realistic goals have to be set, which is achievable, and children are just have to be allowed to be. So wonderful points made by you. Thank you very much.
Thank
In
you so
the
much.
same sequence, we now move to our the next panelist, Rohini ji. For you, ma'am, the question is that since you work with such diverse range of schools, we would like to know if probably request for some, we would like some suggestions, where you can give some effective and viable ways, where where schools can have a proper setup, infrastructure, and how can they take safety measures, so even the parents feel relaxed and they understand the amount of security and safety that children will be having. So over to you.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. So I would like to say first that whatever on this platform today I'm going to say is in my own individual capacity. Yes, just talks and strategies are being planned out at the government level. So whatever I have heard, read on the internet, I'm going to present the same thing. What I feel as an individual when I visit the schools, what will be the things that I will be saying about it, and what guidance I would like to give to the schools. Okay, focusing on the infrastructure and safety measures for the pre-primary schools. First thing, most of the points are already the panelists have covered. So I think quickly I will go through few things which are related to the infrastructure and safety measures. First thing, when we are conducting a PTA meeting or the school management committee meeting, everybody visiting to our schools will be in mask. So who exactly is behind the mask is going to be a challenge. And here I think we need to tell our parents that it is just for the safety of our children that we need to know who exactly is behind the mask. Because even CCTV cameras are not going to be helpful to us to know exactly who the parent or who the visitor to the school is. So in your PTA meeting, in your SMC meeting, you have to take the cooperation and make things clear to the parents. Second thing, the talking walls. Post-pandemic, the talking walls of our classrooms, of our schools are going to be changed. Okay, they are going to talk about the precautions that has to be taken, the nutritious food that children should take in, and they should always be in their mask. Yes, previously the talking walls were the charts, the posters which were talking about the stories and poems and fruits and vegetables. But now, post pandemic, our talking walls will be something else. Then hand washing. Everybody talked about the hand washing stations and hand sanitizers. Here we have to be more careful whether this hand wash liquid soap that we are using in the school, are they suitable to our children, because children have very delicate skin, and whether these tiny hands can they cope up with this, or parents, you can ask parents to send their own liquid soap, small bottle of liquid soap, small bottle of hand sanitizer. You don't know that the same sanitizer or same liquid soap will be suitable to every child. Another about physical distancing, that was really a very innovative idea that ma'am had come up with that head gadget. That's really a good idea. Yes, about the psychologist, she talked about counseling to these parents, to the students, but I think we need counseling required for our teaching and non-teaching staff. Nowadays, everybody is scared to death. People are coming up, oh मैं मर तो नहीं जाऊंगी, मुझे बहुत डर लग रहा है. So these are the things, that reactions that we are getting to hear from people. And above all, we are hearing, listening, reading many things from all over internet, in news, what safety measures should be taken care of, what you should do. But the most important thing here is contextual appropriate protocols, the protocols which your local self-government gives you the directions, that has to be taken care of, that has to be implemented, because geographical conditions in our country, every state, every place has its own challenges. So just follow the directives, the protocols laid down by your local self-government. At last, I would like to say, मन में है विश्वास, पूरा है विश्वास, हम होंगे कामयाब. Take care, be safe.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for that insightful inputs, Rohini ji. And my takeaways from you again would be that when you say that probably avoid having parent-teachers meetings and things like that, because it may be a hindrance for the safety and security of children. Instead, we can plan things virtually. Also, the idea of asking children to bring their own hand sanitizers, so that the risk of allergies and the sharing is kind of reduced. So that is again a very good suggestion, and of course it is very important that we abide by the contextual appropriate protocols set by our local administration. Of course, it is very important, and like Rohit said, that seeing our parents is important. Rakhi ma'am said that along with the parents, we have to ensure that we are counseling and training the support staff and the teachers as well. So, again, what I understand here is that we are all in sync with our thought process, and some or the other way, it is all linking up to what we have given our inputs. I really hope, Komal, that we have addressed some of the questions which are coming from the mothers. Do you have a few questions? Would you like to add something, Komal?
See, the only issue which I said, it is up to school, because these are the real issues which are being talked about in my community, and there are huge discussions are going on. If you go and check, there are more than 300 comments from the mothers who are very afraid, especially the mothers who have small child. They have decided not to send their kids to the school for this year. And they are coming up with different solutions. So these are the discussions. So now it is up to the school that how they can come up with some good online and offline solutions to the parents. And again, I said in the same cost for which we are paying for the school, because that is again cost is involved in this. So how we can come up with such solutions and the teacher training, as I said, because teachers are doing their best. We can see, I have seen my son attending classes. They are doing their best, but again, teachers are not taught to train online. So if we can give them some kind of training, so I think this is gonna help us, all of us.
Absolutely, absolutely. I understand that, but as an early years educator, what I would like to communicate to the parents also at this platform is that, not sending to school is not the solution,
Yes.
because the early years are the foundation years of children's development. We can't deprive the child of that development, because it is such a small age. The developments happen at very specific time periods, which if overlooked can lead to certain kind of repercussions in the future. So the
Yes.
suggestion which all of us, and the idea of collating teaching and learning practices which are a combination of online and offline learning is what is the solution we are providing. I have a few questions here. One of them is that one question here which says that how to handle the online learning when both the parents are working. It's a very valid and realistic question, I feel. So, Rakhi ma'am, would you please answer that for us?
Yeah, ma'am, already we are having online session and we have such kids even today also that their parents are working and kids are managing online, because initially when we uh, like teach the students how to handle the mobile and how to manage all the things, they will start learning. And if when both parents are working and kids are more excited to meet their teachers, teachers need to ensure that they have made efforts to ensure the kids excitement, and the syllabus and curriculum is everything is online. But along with the curriculum we are having so many activities, and like art and craft and stories and conversation, so that children are learning something and they are spending their time in learning, and like something new they are learning. In this way we are teaching, and if the parents both are working, then there is no need to worry if the child alone is handling the online learning. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm sure that has answered the question. Next, I would like to. We have a few questions where people are indicating about the social emotional aspect here when they say that, like we suggested that the child is having a lot of, maybe the child is having a lot of negativity in their mind. So, how can we talk out
Your
to the children?
voice is cracking, Parvani.
One sec, let me just check in my connection one more time. Is it better now? Is it better now?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Is it better? Okay, so the question this would be to Rohita. Rohita, if you can please help us with this one, that when you say that a child is going through a lot, maybe a child is going through a lot of negativity in his mind. So, can you suggest some reactions, or what are the observation the teacher should make during an online class where she can identify and then probably extend support?
Okay, thank you so much. See, at the very outset, I think it is very important to try and impart emotional literacy. Okay, forget children, even adults are going through a lot of mixed emotions. I wouldn't say really negative, and this is very natural considering the environment that we are in currently. Okay, so it's very important to educate them to identify the emotion and label it and then talk about it. So the best way to do it is to observe. A, they will not participate. If you find a child not participating and you know your children, you have been interacting with them, parents are going to be a part of the learning session. This is an opportunity for parents and teachers to collaborate, to update each other with their observations during class and beyond class hours. Okay, try and have a dialogue. with the child as to how is the child feeling. Not now, please understand, every child may not have the verbal capacity to articulate how they feel. Therefore, it is very important to look out for alternatives. Okay, it could be in the form of smiley face, sad face. It could be in the form of a nice warm hug, and just asking them, do you want to do this activity? Do you want to sit in the class, or you don't want to? If the child says no, please respect him and say, it's okay. Please go back. We will talk to you later. And then explore with the child. One has to understand that the moment you give child the freedom to make choices, they should be able to express their emotions in the best way. They should be able to come back to you and say, ma'am, मेरा आज मन नहीं कर रहा, मेरे को ये नहीं करना.
Mohita, we lost you. I think. Can you repeat that? We lost you after that sentence. You were saying that the child should have the the openness to share.
Right. So I was talking about
Could you
emotional
repeat after that?
literacy. Yeah, I was talking about emotional literacy. I think children are struggling to, and even especially in this age group, they really don't have the vocabulary to label their emotion. So it's very important to talk about different emotions. Now, one warning that I'd like to give everybody here is people often talk about happy things. It's very important to talk about not so happy emotions also. I'm upset. I am not happy. I am angry. I am bored. You know, when you give them, when you give them that platform to talk about it, talk about an event and how you feel about that event, you're not just labeling it, but also giving an orientation to the child of what is associated with that emotion. You know, that label that you're talking about. That way, the child will also try and learn and develop skills to communicate. So when a child is not participating in class, it's always important to ask, how do you feel? Do you want to participate? And if the child says no, you know, then one has to respect. Otherwise, how are you going to model behavior that you expect the child to display?
Absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure that has answered the question. Very apt response to that. Thank you very much. I think we are almost running out of time. We have about 8 to 10 minutes left. I would like you to again, wrap it up just in about one sentence. Quickly. We have a wrap from Komal. What she has suggested is that now they are what the parents are expecting, and what she has very rightly suggested, there's a school parent collaboration that has to come to the fore. A very valid point she has made. He has mentioned that we need to be making changes in the policies. We need to be going a little backwards, and starting from the basics of how we need to keep the child in the center and then manage everything else. Rohita again has made some very valid points about emotional literacy, which she says wherein it works both ways for adults as well as the children. So adults need to check on themselves too. And Rohini J again has made a very important point here where she says that you have to understand the local protocols the administration is giving to you, and we have to be mindful of compliances as well. So again, that was a takeaway which we all had here. And again, kind of giving an assurity to the educators and parents here speaking when I speak as I represent the Early Childhood Association, that the association, the people in the association, right from the leadership team to all the members, everyone is looking at a lot of learning and unlearning, since we have all been subjected to this overnight. Everybody is in a phase of accommodating and learning and unlearning and getting used to the new normal. And our president, Dr. Swati Popat Vats, She has been continuous and very, very, very specific, and she has laid down the guidelines so soon for all of us. She has been guiding us and giving us a lot of information, sharing her knowledge, and so that the community, the preschool educators and the pre-primary educators, and even the parents are not left out. So once again, I would really appreciate and thank all of you for being with us on this panel today. It was a wonderful session and very insightful. I'm sure the audience has a lot of takeaways from this one. Finally, any one summation quickly, in about, we have only 7 minutes, so just one word, one sentence summation if each one of you can go. We'll start reverse. Let's start with Rohini ji first. We can't hear you. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I have unmuted. Yeah, मन में है विश्वास, पूरा है विश्वास, हम होंगे कामयाब. Stay safe.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. मन में है विश्वास. Rohita ji, one from you.
Emotional health is the need of the hour. Pledge to be happy. You can control your happiness. Take care, stay home, stay safe.
Fantastic, fantastic. Rakhi ma'am.
Partnership between school and parents is matter. Both should respect each other. And finally, I want to give message to each and every person that do yoga daily. Yoga breathing exercises are very important for our health, and all the pranayam and all the breathing exercises must do daily. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent suggestion, ma'am. Yes, Komal, we'll hear a last one from you.
Stay happy, stay healthy, and take care of yourself, because being a mother, if you are taking care of yourself, then your child will automatically be happy, your family will be happy. So take care of yourself. As the ma'am said, do yoga, do any kind of exercise, invest in yourself. This period जो हमको बीच में pause मिला हुआ है, just utilize it. Don't think in a negative way. There is a good time coming in, and I think we all will be happy. And spend more time with the kids, because we have got the opportunity. Spend more time with the husband, with the spouse, with the family, and take care, stay happy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. On this note, one wrap from me would be that children are definitely the priority for us, and change is the reality in this situation. So it leads to a strategy of collaboration. So on this note, I once again thank all of you for being on the panel. It was an amazing session where we had a lot of learning. And thank you once again for joining us. We'll sign off. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.